Hi, this is the authors of Growing Up Aspen have started a second season podcast called Movie Chat, where we talk with some of our fellow students in the industry and talk about films and all kinds of fun things. Today we are here with Ben Ball, who is an environmental designer, sculpturist, and has did a little stint with movie set designs and worked on The Matrix. So let's catch up with Ben. Well, what about how industries are changing so much right now? I mean, we just heard right now that China basically said they're going to half of the films that Hollywood has, they're going to be playing it. They're having what they'll play in China. So the
What is
industry,
that?
and not only
Oh
that,
yeah.
but AI is coming into the industry and dealing with stuff. So it's like it's changing a lot, you know.
Oh yeah, for
What
sure. The way the productions
imagery
works, yeah.
yeah, I mean, you talked about building a set. Well, you actually had to build that stuff. We talked to Adam
Yeah.
Kane, who now flies a drone, and they basically can build a set from the drone.
Right.
So,
Yes, that's right. Well, oh, how does that work? What was he talking about?
Well, they map it onto, well, they'll shoot the footage from a drone and then they'll map it onto 3D architecture, basically.
Sure.
You know
well,
what I mean?
the AI will extract from the video a 3D model.
Sure.
So it basically builds it from the 3D, looking at the space and how things are moving in the video and all that stuff, and it just basically builds you a 3D model. So now
Are they
that
building it, are they and then they're matching that to aerial footage of actors? What are you talking about?
No, no, they'll just picture if the drone goes up and takes an overall shot, and then if they want to go down in the location, they can actually get the details of the side of the buildings and things like that.
the
And
fountain
then
Okay.
they
is then
map that onto a 3D set that they've built.
Right.
Or as Andy was saying, that is extracted out via AI.
Right.
And then they've
Yeah.
basically got their storyboarding and they've got all their layouts and
a lot
everything.
of
And then
green screen, a lot of green
yeah.
screen.
And then
Yeah.
if they want to use it, I mean, they probably go in and reshoot for backdrops and bigger set stuff. I'm not sure about that. He didn't talk about it, but that would be my guess anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably, yeah. Sure. Imagine it's going to change everything, and and they're not just coming for sets; they're coming for actors. So not
Mhm.
gonna just be relegated to sets. Uh, you'll have costume designers are going to lose their jobs too.
Well, I do think
So
I
are
do
actors.
I do think there's an opportunity for dealing with licensing. So, for instance, instead of getting an actor to come in for a week of shooting, you end up using a model that you made from the actor, but you got to pay him to use his likeness. I can see licensing and stuff coming into things where people who you're using material from that where you end up having to license it.
That's what a
Right.
lot of the strikes were about.
Right.
They were for physical likenesses, and then going forward, I've even seen it in my kids' video games where you'll have Kevin Spacey or somebody as the main character in at least in the cut scenes and the animations, and he'll
Yeah.
do the voiceovers or whatever. But that's his likeness, at that point.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
some of them are getting so good at it that I mean, it's hard to tell the difference. That uncanny valley is just not as it's not as wide anymore.
There isn't one. Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, actors will be uh will the whole idea of what is an actor is going to change because it will be your likeness, your the actor's likeness, their mannerisms, their vocal qualities, all of that will become a sort of part of a package that
Well,
you're going to have to license. Yeah,
the actors become puppeteers in a way. So
yeah,
in a way, they still sort of need to be the puppeteer, and I think there's an importance for them. I mean, actors that can act. I mean, there are people who are just shot because they look cool or something. Um,
right.
But don't you think? I mean, even if you watch a show or a movie or something like that, you'll see sometimes when there's someone who's truly talented and there's something about them that just stands out. Don't you think? I'm not really sure that AI can do that. I mean, maybe it can.
N- Not from what I've seen so far, but I feel like
No,
the uniqueness that an actor brings. There's a reason why Denzel Washington is different than, Anthony Mackie. They're just two different actors. They carry a different kind of a edge to themselves. And
right.
I don't know how a computer can just build that edge. I don't know how it does it. I mean, I other than filming him and going out and capturing his motions and all that stuff, but you're basically using him to create the puppet to move the thing in the computer. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah,
you're still needing, I mean, the people who are talented are still going to need to be used. It's just it's a different way of approaching the beast.
right, 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 right. Sure, sure. Yeah, I don't know. Acting, performances, that subtlety, it whether you'll be able, I don't know if you'd be able to, sure, you probably can get nuanced, subtle performances out of an AI system. But, part of what makes a good a good performance from an actor is an ensemble, and how
Right.
those actors interact with other actors.
Yes.
And
Yes.
directors are attuned to how those ensembles work.
Yes.
And just say that you're going to replace, even if you said, okay, I got this amazing AI that's got, can produce these beautiful, subtle, nuanced performances from AI actors. That doesn't mean that somebody's going to be able to put that all together into a film successfully at this point. It really, that really throws throws a wrench in the way that directors typically, conceive of and deliver films. Like, if are you gonna, if one of the performances from White Lotus this season was made entirely of an AI actor, that would have really changed the way that everybody interacts with that character. And I think, it would have changed the whole dynamic of the show. So, like, they have to be, it will be rolled out in a way which is appropriate, um, for the film as a whole, and the director's working process, so that the film. The first place I see those types of performances happening are in films that are entirely conceived of an AI, right? Like,
Right.
there, you'd have, and you're going to make a film maybe that, I'm just kind of spitballing, but I
Yeah.
think that you'd make a film that would be appropriate for, characters that have slightly, you know, uh, awkward, mannerisms, you'd try to build a story around that awkwardness, or that sort of lack of fidelity to real um, human emotion and human mannerisms. You try to build be a story about, I don't know, people with, that had been, um, uh, had a portion of their brain removed, so they, would become
Memento.
less, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like, there'd be like about characters who had lobotomies, or they'd be characters that were, or they'd be about replicants, or they'd be about, people
Well,
with, or they'd be about, they'd be like aliens that had come down to Earth. I don't think I think that, the minute you start to try to do this with characters, and you're trying to replicate, like, really, subtle human drama, then you, you, the audience might rebel. They wouldn't probably
Well,
go for it right away.
I think on your point where you have actual animators going in and doing it versus AI imagining it, quote unquote. What comes to mind for me would be like the Star Wars movie where, Princess Leia, she died, so they had to recreate her character for some of the end scenes and things. And I think it was successful, but it was very limited in terms of what the dialogue was, or, to your point, Ben, that
I see
there's
the
something missing
studios.
there.
I see the studios as thinking, oh, this is a great way. Let's put in all these Mission Impossibles, and then we can just keep making more Mission Impossible movies. The problem is the audience going to be there? Fast and Furious. Let's get all the Fast and Furious, throw all the movies into this AI machine, and then let's just throw a script in there. And
Or let AI write the script,
well, you're still going to need to have that human. I mean,
yeah, I get it. I'm
experience.
just
AI
saying
doesn't come from
for the point
experience.
of
You have to
argument.
dump the experience into the AI.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's kind of an interesting thing because you have business people and then you have creative people. And the business people is all about the dollars, and the creative people are all about pushing frontiers. And I feel like you have two different folks that are pushing or reaching into the AI world. And I feel like the creative people are the ones that really need to be pushing it, and the money people need to be funding them, as opposed to the money people making all the decisions because they've got a bottom line and this is you know what I mean? I feel like they're in for a rude awakening if they're going to rely 100% on AI just to redo Mission Impossible, 12 or 13. Remember that airplane when they saw Rocky 55?
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking similar with the Fast and Furious, where I think we're up to like 17 or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so I feel like, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting time. I mean, I really, again, like we were saying earlier, I really do like the old Rick Baker, The Thing, where the the monster is part animatronic and part sculptor and part, you know what I mean? It's a bunch of different things. Um, Thanks for listening. We, the authors of Growing Up Aspen would like to thank you, and would like to also thank the Aspen Times and the Aspen Daily News for giving us materials for our book, Growing Up Aspen, Adventures of the Unsupervised, which you can get at twistandturnpress.com and any local bookstore. Thanks.